joining me right now in studio. I'm going to introduce him. He's been here before. It's Thrive Thursday. Excuse me, as Wellness Wednesday. He's usually here on a Thrive Thursday, but I wanted him. He's in town. He's here physically, which a lot of people are not. I had so many interviews canceled this week because of Rona. Let me welcome our buddy, the one and only, Mr. Chris Hogan.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back here with you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, I know. It's good to see you, too.
Look at that. All right, let me take care of some business. I just want you to be introduced properly. No, I'm going to wait for this.
Come on.
So before the break, we were talking, Biden looks like the presumptive nominee. He looks like he's rolling along this election cycle. People are rallying behind him. Folks are endorsing him. He just got another endorsement. Who endorsed him yesterday?
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang.
We have a clip.
Okay, let's hear that.
I believe that Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee, and I've always said I'm going to support whoever the nominee is, so I hereby am endorsing Joe Biden to be not just the nominee for the Democratic Party, but the next president of the United States. And I say this, having supported Bernie Sanders in 2016, Bernie was an inspiration for me, inspired my run, but the math says Joe is our prohibitive nominee. We need to bring the party together. We need to start working on defeating Donald Trump.
Yeah. And so when Bernie Sanders took to the microphone today, I was sitting there scrolling. The TV was, on in the background. I was like, oh, is he going to drop out and support? But he didn't. Instead, he gave a speech. He's going to be there on a debate on Sunday. And as he was talking, though, initially I was like, oh, he's throwing shade. But then I was like, he should be in this discussion because there are items on the table that millions of Americans, because, it's while Biden has more delegates right now, Bernie won a bunch of states. And in 2016, he gave Hillary Clinton a really tough race. And he galvanized millions and millions of young people in this country around his ideals. They should not be lost. So I'm applauding him for doing that, for staying in, because I said this week, he should hold Biden accountable to adopt some of the things that he wants to have happen. I've never really talked politics with you, Chris Hogan.
Yes.
I don't know where you sit politically because I wanted to keep our friendship lovely. But I know you're a good man.
Yeah.
What are you seeing this election cycle in the country? And
Well, I mean, obviously, as I sit back and I look at this, and Karen, you and I can go anywhere. We agree to disagree, and we agree to agree, and we do all the things grown-ups do, because that's what we are. We are grown-ups. In looking at this, I saw on the Democratic side a lot of ear-tickling. The discussion of free college. Well, they know we've got a $1.6 trillion student loan situation. So that's going to hit true to some people in their hearts.
$1.6
trillion in student loan debt. Owed by 44 million Americans
to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
No, absolutely not. We've got young people walking into financial aid offices to sign papers they don't understand for payments they can't afford. That system is broken. Okay? We can come back on that because I think Corona is going to do some stuff inside of that system.
Really?
Yeah. Dayton, University of Dayton, just has announced that they're closing the campus.
Well, I just got an email during the break. CUNY is closed. Hunter College is closed.
Yes.
And then they're going to reopen online.
Yes.
And I'm like, we ain't never taught how do I teach this online?
Yes.
There's no blueprint for this.
Oh, and think about the outlook, the impact on the educational market. This online thing.
Because it's a business.
It is a business. You're absolutely right. And so anyway, I digress. But you have that situation. The whole healthcare situation's a problem. When you have elderly people who have worked hard and paid into Social Security and now they can't get health care or see a doctor, that's a problem. Looking at it, what I saw was Bernie Sanders, obviously, his message invigorated young people, but they didn't show up to vote. Now, and so Biden, who did not go to many of these states to campaign, somehow, some way, comes out ahead. And so you see this and you go, well, Biden is considered more of a moderate in this scenario where Bernie can be out there. Here's my question with Bernie, and I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with him. I don't know how you can pay for all these things he's laying out.
That's been the knock. But here's the thing. We're America.
Right.
866-801-8255 is the number. Chris Hogan's here. Stock market has crashed today again. We're going to talk about that roller coaster probably for a minute. I actually picked up a bunch of stock some stuff on sale this week that
That's
I've
my
been
girl.
watching.
That's right.
But the New Deal happened in a time when we were, as a nation struggling, coming out of the Great Depression, coming out of wars. You do things not because you can pay for them in the moment, right? I don't know if FDR had a solid plan for how to pay for everything that he put forth.
Ooh.
It was aspirational. And we're Americans. When that used to mean something, and we can, let's throw racism, institutional racism over here. The American idealism is about being able to do anything. I believe that, right? So you put it out there and then we figure it out. And I think if we're having this conversation as a bunch of adults, we'll figure out how to tighten the belt here. I've seen in the last 20 years corporate parachutes, and they used to be golden. Now they're, I don't even know what's better than gold, diamond or whatever.
Platinum.
Platinum actually doesn't trade high.
Something.
Doesn't trade higher.
Yeah, it's
because
something.
I watch commodities, but this is out of balance.
Yeah.
The CEOs are making way more money than they're actually putting in. And I think about the Henry Ford model. Henry Ford wanted to make sure the people working in his plant made enough money to be able to buy his cars. Corporations don't care anymore whether people are actually viable enough to help them continue to be here for 200 years. There's a mentality problem in this country.
No, I completely agree. I think anytime you get to the point to where people are just commodities instead of people that represent families, it's out of whack. But at the same time, I'm not going to look. I love capitalism. I love the opportunity that somebody can have an idea and begin to start without a permission slip in the same day. They can find a way to go serve and make money. And so my only issue is the villainizing of capitalism instead of the promoting of humanism. And so I think inside of that, there's an opportunity, as you said, and that's a very, very good point. Social Security came about as a way to be able to help people bridge the gap between what they were getting in their retirement to be able to help people because people were living longer. And there was not a clear-cut plan, as you just mentioned, and the history lesson literally just popped in my head. There wasn't a clear-cut way, but we began down the path, right? And so I think you're right. I think there is a way to fix it. Here's my problem. It's like with the coronavirus. People are wanting to make it a political situation. This is not a political thing. This is a people thing. Like I've seen the faces of people that have been diagnosed with this, and then the looks on their families' faces. And so I don't ask myself, is that a Democrat or Republican or a socialist? When I see that picture of that person, I see a person. And so my heart goes out to them. And so I just hate the politicizing of something that's more people.
But this is the climate that we're in.
Yes,
and even
it is.
as we suss out, Bernie versus Joe Biden, I like that both of them are calling each other friend. Biden was very clear to thank him. Bernie, even as he tried to hit him with a dig about, it's mostly older people who like you. Let's stop doing the age thing too. The subtle divisions that we naturally have should not be magnified by politics, because the reality is we all really want the same things. Most of us.
Most of us, yes.
So we can hone in on that and then figure out the common goals that we should all have and then get behind those common goals. Unless it's about your personality, unless it's about you personally, unless this run was a narcissistic venture.
Right.
So, it's easy for me to run in this election cycle because it's not personal. I'm not doing it emotionally. I'm doing it pragmatically and I'm doing it strategically. And I feel like, when we start talking about agendas and who should have one and this and this and that, you first personally need to know, what is your agenda for yourself? How can you ask somebody in government to do something for you that you aren't willing to do yourself?
I completely agree.
So I think there's a lot of soul searching that a lot of people have to do as they suss through their emotions.
Well, I think here's my other issue, Karen. I think a lot of people expect for the White House to save the day. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that we can put a person in the office that's going to make everything better. I don't. Especially when you look at the checks and balances in our judicial and governmental system. We have the Senate, we have the House, the president. So we're not electing a dictatorian, a person that's in complete control. We're not electing a king or a queen. It's a president. And so I don't know, and I honestly feel this way, I've not seen an outswell of support like I've seen like the Obama election. That was a call to action, grassroots, that empowered and moved people to the polls. I don't know if Biden can do that.
That's why I said he needs to put Obama on the ticket. And
Are you? Oh, all right. Let's go here.
Tell me.
You have just been president. You're Obama.
Mm-hmm.
You have been in the top spot.
Yep.
Do you mean to tell me, do you think he would consider coming back in the second spot?
Why not? Because it's not about me. It's about the country.
Okay.
And the country needs what I was able to do, which was to inspire people to show up. Now, what people didn't do was the work. You showed up, but you didn't ask me for anything. You didn't push anything. You didn't build anything. You expected government to be king.
Yes.
And bestow upon you the things that you needed. So you voted without an agenda. And what I'm saying is everybody listening to my voice should have a personal agenda, should have a neighborhood agenda, should have a group, a tribe agenda.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you can't expect to get something when you're not putting out something.
I agree.
Or asking for anything in return. It's just like any relationship. You're in a marriage and you're doing absolutely nothing. And you're expecting your husband or wife to read your mind. Well, you should just know. How should I know when you haven't asked?
You haven't
You haven't
said.
opened your mouth. And
That's right.
So I think a lot of people are in bad relationships.
Yes.
And we have a bad relationship with government. 866-801-8255. So I think for me, we sit here every day and it's like, I don't care about parties. I never have. I've always understood keenly, probably because my father voted for Reagan and my mother didn't. My mother was a lifelong Democrat from Georgia, and my father was a businessman who was different. That I could see both sides, and I understand what needs to happen. I mean, if we're being honest, somebody mentioned this yesterday. We should have had an agenda for Trump. Why don't we have an agenda for Trump? And I'm going to blame myself because I didn't push that. But now when we know better, we can do better. 866-801-8255. Chris Hogan is here. Let's take some calls because I promised to do that. People are holding on. D in Louisiana, welcome.
Hi, Ms. Karen. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Karen, you're the whole reason I have Sirius XM. I tell you that every time I call.
Appreciate
Love
it.
you to death.
Thank you. To life.
So my take on the election at this point is that this is the actual place where the Democratic Party is right now. I think that people in 2016 were more amped to believe the lies about a woman as opposed to the truth about a man. And so that's why you have Trump in office to an extent. I think people were more amped to believe, oh, Hillary did this, Hillary did that, when those were lies. So I think at this point, the country is basically showing that this is where the Democratic Party is, that this is, we're not necessarily to the left, to the way, way left, where Bernie is. I think that this is a picture of where the Democratic Party is now. So it's not really a surprise that a Joe Biden is ahead as much as he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 866-801-8255 is the number. I actually disagree on the Hillary part. I think, Hillary Clinton was a horrible candidate. She ran a horrible campaign. And it wasn't even about people wanting to believe the lies. They just didn't trust her. And there's a level of trust because, again, people are mostly emotional voters. There was something about her that people couldn't trust. And I think a lot of the Bernie support was actually more anti-Hillary's backlash than it was actually, I love this guy. I hate her that much.
Right.
And I don't know, but we've known her since 2 terms in the 90s under, as the first lady.
That's right.
Senator from New York. So she's been in the spotlight, Secretary of State. There's Benghazi. I mean, there's just so much baggage.
It is. And there's a likability factor anytime you get into any kind of major political race. Like Bernie is likable. He looks like your granddad, right?
Not my granddad.
Well, not mine either, but he looks like a granddad.
Somebody's granddad.
An old granddad, right? But everything that he says, it's about we. He's inclusive of people. It's not about him. He's not a narcissist in that view. And so I do think young people like that. I'm going to go back to, I don't know if that's enough to get people out in the polls.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay,
We'll see.
outside of Obama, who would you put as Joe Biden's second
I
running
loved before I heard Val Deming's name floated out there. I love the notion of Stacey Abrams.
mate?
I love the notion of her. She gives you a Southern person who, because again, this is a game
Right.
of delegates. This is a numbers game.
That's
This
right.
is a state-to-state game. This
That's
is
right.
not a popularity contest, even though it is sort of.
Right.
So she spreads him a little bit, gives him a black woman who I think black men don't feel threatened by or disgusted by the way they do Kamala Harris. I think black men just don't like Kamala Harris. Similarly, the way a lot of people didn't like Hillary Clinton. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just stating what I see.
Right.
And that will keep people from voting. We need a large turnout.
Yeah, big.
So I don't want anything that's going to keep people from voting. And I think Kamala Harris is more serving this country in the Senate or on the Supreme Court or in a position that Attorney General, someplace where her brilliance, because she's a brilliant woman, can help us as a nation. I don't know if she helps the ticket as vice president. I thought Stacey Abrams would, but I think Val Demings actually does it even more because she's law enforcement. She's Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband, I think, is mayor of Orlando or something.
Somewhere like that, yeah.
And they're both law enforcement generationally.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say she's not tough. You know, she has the respect of that, which for black people, our relationship to law enforcement is a little sketchy.
Yeah, it is.
So we need a top cop type of person who we can trust that's not going to be banging us over the head, stop and frisk, all of these policies that have been, stand your ground, which actually happened in her state.
Yep.
I think there's somebody that's sympathetic. She was great in the impeachment hearings. She was amazing, and she's a rising star with no baggage.
Okay.
So I like that. I think that's good.
All right.
All right. Or Michelle Obama, who I don't think would do it. So I don't think she would do it. She has nothing to lose.
Just putting stuff out
Why
there.
not? Why not? We have the opportunity to do that. What do you have? What's your lineup look like?
I really don't. I thought Hillary maybe.
Okay, let's walk down that because we have to start thinking strategically.
Right.
Biden picks Hillary. What happens? Is more people going to show up or less?
I would guess more would show up.
Really?
As opposed to Biden picking Klobuchar.
That I agree with.
Yes.
I think Hillary's better than Klobuchar.
Right.
Is Hillary better than Stacey Abrams to you?
No.
Okay.
Strategically, I think maybe, just with name recognition. Now I'm purely going just strategic.
I like that.
I don't think
that
that's necessarily the better overall fit.
But everyone knows her.
Right.
But most people hate her.
Yeah. Well.
So, I'm just like,
yeah.
Is she going to turn out like 50 million more people than showed up in the because 100 million sat home?
That's
so
right.
I'm going to say half of them still going to sit out. She's going to turn up 50 million more people.
No. Okay. I stand corrected.
What about Elizabeth Warren?
No.
Okay.
To me, you have, I don't know.
Okay. All right. 866-801-8255. Chris Hogan and I are having a conversation. I love when he's here. Primarily because I like talking to people who know things that I don't know. I like talking to people who are smart and who are good. This is what I'm really committed to here. Just having really good people here who are agendaless.
Yes.
Because I don't have an agenda other than the progression of my people. That's it. It's an easy agenda. I'm guilty of that. If you claim that any place, yes, I am totally here for your progress, period. So I'm going to give you tools and weapons and things that will help you build a better life. Outside of that, I'm good.
Right.
So, and I know you're good.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So politically, we need somebody in office who's going to do what we asked them to do. Full stop, period. Or have people who can make them.
Here's the thing. Is our political system flawed? Can someone, obviously because we don't elect a king or a queen, so nobody can get in there and just do everything, right? There are hoops to be jumped through. And you know what? That's why, Karen, I'm going to go here. I'm in favor of term limits.
Me too.
I'm in favor of you get 2 terms max as a senator, congressman, and get out, go home.
I agree. Nobody should be there 40, 50 years.
Not at all.
And it makes you work harder that first term to get elected again.
That's right.
And then that second term to find a successor.
Make your mark.
Who's going to keep your policies.
That's exactly right. Make your mark, prep someone else, and then go back to your home state and do something.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
All right, but we need those folk in Congress to vote for that. Busy voting each other raises and such.
That's right.
And they have the best health care. Can we get their health care?